What's up, Tsla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with the overall market and talk about Tesla stock. Let me just mention that I am not a financial planner. Make sure you take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire community as a whole. So Tesla's been trying to rebound a bit, retesting our very, very key resistance at this 20 EMA, 202.5. Make sure you watch that very carefully. If we break that, we could attempt to fill this gap up to about this 207.5 area. If not, we'll be watching to see what kind of reaction we get. Now, the data that came out was actually quite decent, and this is very ironic considering that we got some bad data for the last couple of days. This is the first piece of good data since last Wednesday. So, what's happening so far? The S&P Global Composite PMI was once again aligned with expectations, a little bit lower, but the ISM services data was all pretty good in my opinion. So PMI is above expectations. Business activity is still looking decent. Employment is still holding up in the services sector. But then new orders, despite that being above the expectations, so everything was good. Only thing that wasn't as good was the ISM service prices. This was a little bit above expectations. So prices are still kind of like high on this end. The question is, will this have an effect on CPI or not? We'll just have to wait and see. Now, there's been a lot of talk about some geopolitical tensions that are still going on right here. I'm going to be watching to see what ends up happening with this. So just keep this in the back of your guys' minds. This is another catalyst that could affect the markets, the tensions that are going on involving Israel and Iran. So you want to be very careful with this. I hope that things don't truly escalate. There is a lot of talk about how they will very, very soon. And if something were to happen, the market may get a very, very big immediate reaction. So the market may temporarily react to this. Just keep this in the back of your mind. This is another catalyst that could affect us. And for now, we're just going to be watching some key levels. So for Tesla, we're testing this 202.5 resistance. We're kind of shuffling here. We'll see if Tesla could break this or not. It is looking like it's trying to push higher. Make sure you watch the support around this 196 area. If we were to lose that, we could be looking for a dip all the way back down towards 192. But overall, Tesla's holding up quite well. I think that Tesla's going to shuffle a lot for now. There might be an attempt to break a little higher, but just like I said before, I would still be very careful, especially considering the tensions that are going on. But just notes that for the long term, although this is not financial advice, I'm actually really liking this price. This is another opportunity to dollar cost average down. If you guys want, you're always open to do that. If not, it's up to you. That does not mean to just YOLO everything at this price. It's always possible to dip lower, but like I said before, this is just a very, very big opportunity, especially for the long term. So as far as Tesla goes, in terms of its trend, we're still holding key supports. We still held above 180. We're seeing buyers trying to defend it, but we haven't been able to really crack the 202 resistance. So we'll just have to give it some more time and be very, very patient with this. I think that we're going to likely try to remain range bound between 200 and 202 at least for the time being. And we'll just have to see what kind of reactions we get at least from this point on. But I'm not really expecting anything too crazy. I think that Tesla might shuffle for now. And then if there is any big news that comes out, we're going to be looking for a big reaction, especially with the whole Iran situation and Israel. So just be very patient. I'm liking SPY's setup right here. We are attempting to rebound, testing resistance at 521. If that breaks, we're going back up to about 525. If we can break past 521, I think 525 becomes a possibility. And if that breaks, we're going to fill this gap all the way back up towards the 530 area. So 530 is coming if you break 525, most likely. And if in order to get up there, we have to break past 521. So far, SPY has not been able to break that, but we'll have to wait and see. Watch 520s are supports. If SPY were to lose this, then there's going to be a risk of us dipping all the way down to low levels, such as 515 all over again. If that breaks, we'll be dipping back down to where this body is, all the way back down towards the 510 area. So far, SPY is trying to rebound, is trying to bounce for the time being. May make an attempt to try to get closer to 521. We'll see if that breaks or not. And if it does break, we'll be watching that gap above and just give it some time. So I don't know if we truly will break resistance at 525 for today. But like I said before, don't be way too confident quite yet. We're still waiting for this whole situation to pan out. So give that some time. Looking at a few others like ES, ES is trying to rebound. We're going to be looking at 5260 as key resistance. If we break past 5250, if that breaks, we could be looking for a nice rebound. If not, be very careful, but watch that 5260 is a very, very key area. That's very close to our 20 EMA. We'll see if that breaks or not. ES is still favoring the upside, trying to rebound. SPX is doing the same thing. We have this gap to fill on SPX. If we break past 50, I could see an attempt to get all the way up towards 50, the 5300 area. We're looking like we're trying to rebound at least a bit, but we'll just have to give this some time as time goes on. So, with that being said, SPX is just, it's just kind of gapping down consistently. Uh, and we have this big gap to fill right here. Whether or not this fills will depend a lot on the Iranian situation. So give it some time. We are attempting to push, so we could get closer to about 52.50 if we do continue to pump higher and we break this high right here. So watch 52.25 as resistance. If that breaks, I'll be looking for 52.50 as potential targets. And then if that breaks, we could try to fill the gap. But so far, despite us trying to push higher, resistance is getting tougher. We'll have to see what kind of reaction we get. Even Nvidia is trying to rebound, but I do see an issue. So we did reclaim 95 to push up to 100. That's what I called out if we reclaim 95. Now we have 102 as resistance. That's where this gap resistance happens to be. It aligns with our 20 EMA. Break this, and we're going to be filling this gap back up towards 106. If we fail to do so, look out below. We have support down here around 97.8. If that breaks, we'll be dipping back down towards a 95 and then all the way back down to 92. So those are your supports and resistance levels on Nvidia. This chart looks like it wants to push a little higher, but we have some tough resistance. And we'll see what kind of reaction we get with the whole situation involving Iran. So we're not necessarily in the clear quite yet. So give this a little bit more time. For the QQQ, we're also attempting to rebound, but we're looking at 440 as key resistance. It's a very tough resistance. If we were to break that, then there could be an attempt to get back up to about 447. We also have the support right here. This is previous resistance around 435. If that fails, we'll be dipping back down towards 432, and then finally all the way down to about the 427 area. So watch those supports very carefully. The QQQ is favoring the upside, but just to be safe, make sure you watch your levels. For Aapl, Apple's holding up very, very well. We'll be looking at our 20 EMA, this 212 area, as our resistance. If this breaks, I'll be looking for basically 216. If we reject here, we'll be dipping back down towards 207. So it is technically favoring upside a little bit more, but then be careful at the 20 EMA is another resistance. So for Aapl, for ES, SPY, everyone's trying to test our 20 EMA. It's a tough resistance. Market is taking its time, so give it some time as well. Looking at the IWM, we have 203 as key resistance, and then we have 205 above that. If we break both of those, this gap is going to fill all the way up to about the 208 area. So tight levels on the IWM. It's actually still a little bit lackluster. It's still trying to rebound a bit, but it's still down quite a bit compared to like our other equities out there. So we'll see how well this holds up. We'll see if the small caps can get a rebound or not. I am seeing some potential in Coinbase. We're testing our 20 EMA. That's going to be around this 194.6 area. If we break that, we're going all the way up to 202. If we reject here, we're going to be coming back down to about this support here around 183. So there's a big test on Coinbase right now. It looks more bullish. It looks like it's trying to, push to fill this gap just for the short term. The bigger trend is bearish, so the overall move is to the downwards direction. But for the short term, it's trying to push a little bit, so a little bit more in favor of bullish flow. But just to be safe, make sure you watch our gap and watch our 20 EMA's resistance. We'll have to see if we break that or not. Amazon, we could push a little bit more towards 164. If we break that, we could end up pushing for 168. If we come short of 164, we could reject. So just be careful on Amazon. But I do see a little bit more upside for it. Meta is already, it broke its 20 EMA. So this is actually showing a lot more strength. I'll be looking at this gap fill around 485. We'll see if Meta can try to reclaim that. This, of all things, is holding up quite well. And two more, we have Microsoft trying to reclaim 400. We have 400.5 as resistance. If this breaks, we'll be filling this gap all the way up to about 406. If it comes short, we're going to be rejecting back down towards 395. This is favoring upside. If we manage to hold above 400.5, I'll be looking for a nice push. And then Google's doing the same thing. We need to hold above 164.8. If we hold that, I'll be looking for 168. We need to hold this for another hour, so we'll have to see. If not, we return back down to 161, but it's still favoring that it wants to start pushing. One thing to be very careful about when it comes to the S&P 500 would be the way that premiums are shifting in terms of their valuations, because implied volatility has been dipping. So be careful. The VIX might be approaching the 29.7 area. We'll see if it bounces or not. So you want to be very mindful of that. And given the geopolitical situation involving the yen and the dollar, that's why the dollar is actually down right now. We'll see if this could reclaim 102.8 or not. But it's not really affecting the equities markets as much as it usually does. The market is trying to rebound, so we'll see if we could try to break resistance. But just as a warning, although we are trying to rebound, although Tesla's trying to rebound too, testing 202, just watch resistance carefully. And then don't forget, there's still this big news. This could cause a temporary move in the markets if there is something that happens, and likely to the downside. So just be careful if something were to happen, the market could get a very negative reaction. So we'll just wait and see if there, if anything happens. I hope that nothing happens or things don't escalate too much. I want to remain very hopeful, at least as time goes on. Anyways, that's it for my video. Make sure you watch that resistance and all the levels I called out. Until I see you guys again in a few hours, thank you for listening and peace out.